It's a drizzly, windy day here in Minneapolis, early October, maybe mid-October. I think it's the 13th. Probably one of the last days I will get to enjoy a nice coffee while walking outside. And I want to tell a story about process. Surprise, surprise. So last night, one of my students was showing me poster designs she was working on, and she's doing two versions at a time as we get into a more refined executional kind of stage. So she's got one, it's got a good start, and then she's going to talk about the other one, and she shows me this weird thing that I don't recognize. And it turns out that over the course of, say, the last 5 days, she's got this itch she wants to scratch of trying this other thing for the poster. Now, there's kind of two things that happen there. One, she totally needs to scratch that itch. She needs to do that thing, but this project isn't the place to do it. A discipline I think that one has to learn as a designer or creative is to trust the process and accept the results. It doesn't mean you can't go and try a new thing, but in this particular instance, we're at a certain point in what we're doing. You've only got so much free time, and the concept that she's kind of killing has been worked towards and thought out and refined. And then there's this other cool thing. And she should do the other cool thing, but I don't think it should be for my project that I'm asking for. I think that she should throw together a kind of one-off fun poster or use it as an illustration. And I think this is an area where Instagram is so great. Prior to being able to publish stuff instantaneously in a kind of lightweight fashion, the answer to what she was doing would be, okay, make this thing anyway. The problem with it is it wouldn't feel real. And the reason it wouldn't feel real is because there would be no publishing factor there. In art school, the major function of a critique is not to make your work better. It's to fulfill your impulse to show your stuff and share it. So critique in an art school, a group critique, is a form of publishing. In order to make that new idea real, she needs to publish it. And the quickest way to publish it would be to throw it into this new project and bring it to critique. And that's not what we need. She does need to make it, she does need to publish it, but what I would say is, cool, make something, throw it on Instagram. If you still need to scratch that itch, continue to make things, but let the other project, the poster thing, be the poster. Let it ride. Then there's a secondary part to this. I'm making these students work in a fashion that for most of them is probably unnatural to how they normally work. So maybe they come up with one idea and then they just work on that one idea again and again. I kind of made them take multiple routes into the project. Sorry, the iced coffee is freezing my hands. I'm gonna grab some gloves here. I kind of made them take multiple aspects into it, multiple types of sketching. And so now they're at this point where what they're doing should be not necessarily refined, but committed to, with an understanding of where it will go. Now, once you've run through that process, if you find that you're constantly wanting to change it at the last moment, and it's not the last moment to be fair, but it's the moment where we should start to see a more high resolution validation of the concept. Does it work? And instead we're seeing something else. But for our intents and purposes, it's the last moment. If every time you work, you are changing shit at the last moment, that means that, it could mean two things. One, it could mean you're insecure and you are letting this constant fear of things not be good enough sabotage you at the end, or you are using a process that doesn't work for you. Because it doesn't work for you, you get to the end without a level of commitment to the thing that you've made. Now, this is the first time she's using this process, so it could simply be, yes, the process doesn't work for her, but we have to ride it out at least once. But it's helpful data. But it's also good to think about, is she shoehorning a thing that she wants to do into the nearest available project? Is she feeling some sort of doubt or anxiety about whether this is good enough or whether it's right, whether it looks like her stuff, any number of things? So what's the thought here then? So the thought here is then, when you have doubt, you look and you figure out the degree to which the process is causing that. You also have to look at whether your internal kind of mindset is causing that. And then lastly, when you have that itch to scratch, do scratch it, but don't do it at the cost of projects that are on a trajectory already. Because the thing that I find is that whole thing of changing stuff at the last minute, usually you're not changing it for the better. You're just changing it to something you can commit to, because you know what you're doing is not working. But then you find this other thing, you sort of commit to it, and typically it's just the pressure of a deadline gets you to finish it, and awesome. But the other thing is, there's just this tendency to change shit for no reason and to claim the new idea is better when the new idea is not better. It's just different. This is the curse of the overbearing creative director that always changes things, but they never change them for the better. They just change them because they want them to be different. So those are some thoughts on creative process, on managing it, on publishing it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And make sure you subscribe. All right, take it easy.